Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the next episode of TILLY. I'm your host, Marisa Zeppieri. A lot of you already know me as Lupus Chick. If this is your first time here at TILLY, TILLY is brought to you by the Lupus Foundation of New England. It is a weekly episodic series, and each week we have someone new on talking about their journey with chronic illness. Sometimes we interview doctors, nutritionists, or people actually in the medical field that can help us with different tips and techniques. But tonight, I am really excited to have on an amazing chronic illness advocate who's going to actually share her story with us, Hannah Sutherland. So Hannah, thank you so much for being here with us.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So Hannah's out in California, for all the East Coast people like me that are jealous. So Hannah, before we kind of get started, I would love for you to just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I am 18 years old, so a newly adult, and I'm in California, like you said. The beach is my favorite place ever. So I love living here. I have a big family. So I have 4 brothers and a sister. So there's always something going on around here, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah. So that's me.
Awesome. Well, we're twins. I have 4 brothers and a sister.
No way.
So, yeah. We have a very loud Italian family.
Yes, it's fun. It's fun. It's a lot sometimes, but it's really fun.
It is. It's nice to have family around. Well, so I want to learn a little bit more about your diagnosis. Like, when did you first know that you weren't, like, something wasn't right? What were your symptoms, and sort of what was that journey like to the point where you got to the doctor and actually received an answer?
Yeah, so I was 9 years old and went to bed one night, perfectly healthy, fine, loved playing soccer, being outside, all of that kind of stuff. And then the next morning I woke up and my eye was all red. It hurt. It was blurry. And of course we just thought, oh, maybe it's just pink eye. Maybe it's just something like that. You know, I was a little kid playing in the dirt all the time. Maybe I just had some sort of eye infection, but we kept on going to the doctor. It kept on flaring. When it turns red, gets painful, can't see out of it. Finally went to a specialist. They didn't figure anything out either. They were trying to treat my eye, and I think that's why it wasn't really working, because we didn't realize that it went deeper than my eye. So then 9 to 10 was kind of just back and forth, blood work, doctor's appointments, all that kind of stuff. Then I started to have muscle pain. Still, they had no idea what it was. Then I started to have joint pain. Still had no idea what it was. I would get sores on my face, but I was 10, 11 at the time. They thought maybe it's just some sort of acne or something like that. Then finally I started getting the butterfly rash, so the red rash across my face. Still, they had no idea what it was. So at 11 years old, I went to the emergency room because the pain was just so bad. I just couldn't take it anymore. I started to go into shock and hallucinate and see things. And that hospital stay, I was diagnosed with lupus because they saw the joint pain, the muscle pain, the butterfly rash, the sores on my face. They did a biopsy and turns out it was discoid lupus. And then my ANA is positive. So all of that added together, they were finally able to diagnose me with lupus. So it took 2 years.
Wow. So when I hear this, I'm like heartbroken, and I get so frustrated because, like you, I had symptoms at 8 years old, but this was back in the 80s. And so they missed it for over 10 years.
Oh, wow.
I would hope, or at least I guess I've assumed that, children, you know, and younger men and women that are having symptoms because there's been such an increase in awareness and education that it wouldn't take this long, you know, especially with classic symptoms like muscle pain and butterfly rashes and sores. We had very similar symptoms there, by the way. So it breaks my heart that you went through that for so long, especially so young. But I'm wondering also, like, you know, I grew up in Fort Lauderdale and the sun was my biggest trigger. So do you notice that out in California, that the sun is a trigger for you, or the heat, especially when it comes to things like fevers or sores or rashes?
Yeah, so it's actually been weird because I've been told that my entire time I've been diagnosed, like the sun is a big trigger. So I actually started when I was diagnosed wearing sunscreen every single morning, no matter what's going on. That's like part of my wake up routine. You know, like when I put my clothes on for the day, I put sunscreen on. And I've never seemed to have trouble with the sun, but I am careful with putting on sunscreen, trying to stay out of it. But just recently, like just this past couple of months, I've found like if I'm driving and my arm's in the sun, then it will hurt later. So I don't know if I'm kind of developing something, you know, I'm getting older. Yeah, but I never really saw a problem until recently. So
Interesting. Yeah,
always
it's just
something new happening.
Oh yes, lupus is a new adventure every single day. So I have to ask now, okay, you're in the hospital and you're diagnosed, and obviously you're very young. So what is it like at that point to be in middle school and high school? And I'm assuming, you know, on treatment and sort of learning what this disease is all about and how it affects you. And like you said, having new things pop up all the time.
Yeah, I think for a good amount of time, I was kind of in a denial stage of like, because they said lupus, and my mom's cousin had lupus. And so that's the only thing I've ever heard about it. Like, I've never met someone with lupus before or anything like that. So I kind of just thought, this is something that's going to go away. You know, like I just have to take this medicine and it'll go away. So I would try and keep playing soccer, keep going out with friends, and kind of exhaust myself. And especially in middle school, you know, you want to fit in and you want to do what everyone else is doing. And my body just couldn't, you know, my body just couldn't handle that. So yeah, I spent a lot of time trying to hide my symptoms and cover them up. But middle school is a rough time when something like that, you get diagnosed with something like that. Yeah.
I imagine, yes, that would be very rough. Like you said, especially with kids, you know, you want to fit in, you want to hang out with your friends, and, you know, everyone says, be unique, be unique. And when you're young, it's like, you want to be, you know, you want to be around everyone else, you want people to like you. And, you know, it's, you want to be part of the group, right?
Yeah.
And enjoy those years. So I'm sure that it was very difficult. I'm going through something very similar. I'm curious, like, how was it when you were at home? You were such a big family. So is that really where you found, you know, your support, if sort of to the outside world, you weren't very vocal about it yet, like you are today?
Yes, definitely. My family was and still is like my biggest support group. My parents, especially, they're willing, if there's something that's supposed to help me, they're willing to throw down everything and try and find that and get that for me. Yeah, but I think back in middle school and stuff, my family saw kind of the worst parts of me, you know, because I would hide it from everyone else and then come home and be all sad about it and upset and everything. So I'm just really thankful that they're on my side and supporting me.
That's amazing. I'm sure you know, I'm sure you hear it. You know, not everyone has a supportive family, and that, I think, just makes it so much more difficult on this journey if you can't even be honest, you know, with the people closest to you about how you feel, or they just don't understand, or they don't understand why, like you said, you know, you take a pill and why aren't you better yet? And so it can be very frustrating. So at what point did you go from hiding it to everyone, and now you're out on Instagram and social media as an advocate, and, you know, anyone who looks you up will know that you're part of the lupus community and you're a health advocate. So what sort of made that switch for you?
Yeah, so I had a period of remission actually from 14 to 16, and then I got into another big flare from a medicine I took. Actually, it caused a flare, and that was when I was 16, almost 17, and I realized this is, you know, this is who I am. Lupus isn't gonna, it's not just gonna go away forever. I need to stop hiding it. And instead of hiding it, I'm going to help other people who felt so alone, you know, in their, like I did. Like I didn't want to show anyone because I felt like no one understood. So I wanted to be that person that you can go look at my Instagram and say, oh, she gets me, you know, she understands what I'm going through. And I just think it's so nice to see everyone on Instagram, social media, like, hey, that happened to me too. You know, it's just a big comfort.
It is. I think Instagram has to be my favorite, but I feel like there's such an amazing community of just lupus warriors and just chronic illness warriors in general. And I feel like our community is more united than some others as far as, you know, we really support each other, and we share stories. I've learned more, you know, if I'm having like a weird symptom or something, it's usually those people that I go to first, like, hey, who's had this and what is this? And what do I need to do? You know, and then I usually will call my doctor, right? Because so many people flood in and want to share their advice, you know? So it has been really neat. So you're 18 years old and you have the whole world in front of you and your whole life ahead of you, right? So what's your plan? Like, what are you doing with yourself, and what are some of your goals and dreams moving forward?
Well, graduate college is what I'm working on right now. It is proving to be a lot more difficult than I thought it was going to be. Just adding all the health stuff on top of it, it just makes everything a little bit harder. But I love my major is business accounting, which I'm not sure I'm totally in love with that, but I do love to write, and I love being on social media and sharing with people and stuff. So I don't know where that will take me, but I think I, you know, start a blog or something like that. I'm not sure.
I think that's great. Well, there's so many different things you could do, and you're already out there on social and sharing your story and funny videos and tips and things like that. So I say keep moving forward with that, because you're definitely making waves in the community. So I appreciate your advocacy and you sharing your story. Before we tell people how they can come and follow you, I just want to ask you, what are some pieces of advice you would give to, you know, kids or teenagers or people in high school that are sick and maybe going through diagnosis, or maybe like you, they were diagnosed and they don't want to tell anyone because they don't want to be the person in their group or circle that, you know, has something or is different. So what would your advice be? Like, what do you wish maybe someone told you?
I wish I would have found a group or a community back when I was in middle school. It just makes such a difference. You feel so much less alone when you have people around you that are going through the same thing. I think back then, like my mom offered, do you want to, you know, I'll put you in a lupus support group, but I just don't think there's a lot of like kid lupus support groups. You know, there's a lot of adults, which is not, it's not a bad thing. I didn't feel like I could relate as much to people who were older than me. So I would say first thing, find someone on Instagram, someone who's in the same city as you, someone that you can just talk to and you can just feel understood. It makes such a difference. So yeah, that would be my number one tip. Number two, I would say to be your biggest advocate. I think a lot of the times I would not want to tell my doctors all the stuff that was going on because I thought I was complaining or I thought I sounded dramatic. But that's how you're going to get a diagnosis. That's how you're going to get help that you need, if you really tell everyone what's going on with you.
I think those are great. And you're right. You know, I think the more information that we have that we can give to our doctors, you know, something that could be so insignificant, like I was in the sun for 5 minutes and, you know, I spiked a weird fever after, you know, or I got a strange rash, but it went away a couple of days later, and you might forget about it, you know, but something like that could just be a clue, right? I think it's really important for people of all ages to just, you know, write things down. You may not remember everything, and tell them everything that's going on. Even, you know, sometimes it could be like embarrassing or like you said, you feel like you don't want to complain, but I feel like the more symptoms or things that they know that are very specific, then maybe they won't miss things. You know, maybe it won't take 6 more appointments to figure it out. At least that's the hope. So I think those are great tips, and I appreciate you sharing your story. And you just have such a great just soul, like aura around you. So I think you're going to do amazing things. You're so calming, and you know, I think it's great. Like you're a great role model for younger kids, teenagers, high school, and now college, right? So I want to thank you for that. And I would love for people to come and share you. So tell them about what you're doing on Instagram, or if you're on any other platforms, and how they can find you.
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at livin.withlupus. And I just like making funny videos, relatable videos, because, you know, sometimes we just need to laugh with what we're going through. And so I think it's a challenge, but it's always rewarding to switch your perspective from all this stinks to, oh, let's laugh about it, you know. And also share tips on things that have helped me, medicines I've tried, all that different kind of stuff. But also the social media, it's great for me too. Like everyone there knows. I'll be like, oh, my hands are getting purple and cold, and everyone was all like, oh, go get tested for this, you know. So it's kind of a space that we can all lean on each other and learn from each other. So
absolutely. It is. It's a great space. So we'll definitely go and follow Hannah, and you will love her videos and just her personality. It's very bubbly and very sweet. So thank you so much, Hannah. I'm so glad that I finally got to have you on TILLY. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I will put her Instagram handle down below here so that you know the exact spelling of it. And yeah, well, thank you again for being on TILLY, and thank you for everyone being here. Definitely want to come back next Tuesday at 8 o'clock Eastern for our next guest. And if you know anyone that you think should be on TILLY, or maybe yourself, feel free to reach out and nominate someone, or tell us a little bit about yourself, and you could be on the next episode of TILLY. So I hope you all have a great night, and take care. Bye.